Hello, music theory people. Today's lesson is the inversions of a seventh chord. We're going to use the 5-7 chord. I'll play them all in a G7 at first. We're going to have a G7, and if I just play basic thirds, I'm going to play G7, 1, 3, 5, 7. And in the previous video, we saw that the third and seventh resolve. Right? That's a G7. If we take it and put it in first inversion, that means we take the G off the bottom and put it up here. And that's still a G7. That's just a G7 in first inversion. For the figured bass, you know, a first inversion chord, we usually say a 6. That's a 6 because it has a 3 and a 6. So that's a normal first inversion chord. If it has a 7th in it, it's gonna say 6-5. Can you see the 6 and the 5? So that's called a 6-5 in figured bass terms. First inversion, dominant 7 chord, or any 7th chord, is a 6-5. And of course, it's going to resolve the same way. The leading tone still wants to resolve. I'm leaving the 5th out right now, but put it in if you want. Now, it's the first inversion if we put the B any octave. So the B could go there. We could split up these other notes. We could do it like that. Same thing. It's still a first inversion, right? And it's still called a 6-5 because it's got a 6 and a 5. 6-5. Second inversion means 5th in the bass. So here's our G. Here's first inversion. Here's second inversion. Can you guess what that inversion is called? I'll give you 2 seconds. It's called a 4-3. It's actually a 6-4-3. This would be a 6-4, right? A 6-4. That's a 6-4-3. We just kind of leave, because the figured bass is so complicated and onerous as it is, you have shortcuts and abbreviations in it. So instead of calling that a 6-4-3, it's just called a 4-3. Because the 4-3 tells you it's a 6-4-3. That's a 6-4-3. There's a G7. Can you see it? And it's going to resolve the same way. The 7th down and the leading tone up. And if we put that 5th in the bass, nice, isn't it? That's second inversion of a G7. Now, since we have a 7th, we have the possibility of a third inversion. Right, here's our G7 again. And if we put first inversion, second inversion, third inversion. 7th in the bass. I'll play it down here because it's where it would normally be found. And the 7th resolves down because the 7th wants to resolve down. So here's third inversion. That, can you guess what that inversion is called mathematically, numbers-wise, figured bass? 6-4-2. Because from the bass note, we've got a 2 and a 4 and a 6, so 6-4-2. However, once again, we, as an abbreviation, we leave the 6 off. So that's called a 4-2. Doesn't that sound nice? You don't even need the 5th on this. The 5th, by the way, is optional on 7th chords. I already said that once, but I want to... When you got 3 notes in the chord already, 3 great notes, and you can hear that resolving, right? And those are the inversions of a 7th chord. That would be true for a 5-7, but also for any 7 chord. A supertonic 7th chord, a submediant 7th chord. Here's a submediant chord in C. Key of C, here's a submediant chord. If we put a 7th on that, it's a nice note, isn't it? A minor or A minor 7. That would be a 4-2 inversion. Can you see a 7th in the bass? And that would resolve to a 2 chord probably. a 2 chord. If I had a 2 chord and I put a 7th in it, and I just put a passing 7th on it, to a 5 chord, anticipation. Okay, let's review 7th chords and what they're called. G7. First inversion, which is called 6-5 in figured bass. Second inversion, which is called 4-3 in figured bass. And third inversion, which is called 4-2 in figured bass. You should try those out at the piano. They're fun. Good luck. Thank you.